guys. All right, so we've got approximately 35 minutes now until lunch. So what we're going to do is we're going to have a roundtable discussion on eSIM versus SoftSIM, which is one of the fastest growing sectors of the market coming up. Let me begin by saying my name's Neil Morstan. I work for Strategy Analytics as Head of Devices. I'll be the moderator for the next half an hour or so. We're going to introduce the panel here one by one. So let me start at this end, and you can please go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Vincent Kazarian. I'm working for OT Morpho, newly created the merger of Overture Technology and Morpho. I am responsible, I'm a Deputy General Manager of our Connected Object Business Unit, and I'm responsible for eSIM development at OT Morpho. I don't know if we have, yes, we're just going quickly, all right?
Please, yeah, go ahead. Karl.
Hi there. My name is Ian Maxwell, and I am from UL, where we provide testing and consulting services for embedded SIM products. I lead those products in development and appearance in the market. Today I'm going to be talking about the future of the SIM with the merge from embedded SIM maybe to even a virtualized SIM.
女士们、先生们，各位中国来宾啊，欢迎参加今天的那个演讲，就是在我们的那个世界移动大会。我的演讲就是关于那个 eSIM， 还有那个穿戴智能手表，跟地铁支付有关的。Good afternoon. My name is Karl Weaver. I work for Simility. I'm a wireless market mobile device specialist. Welcome.
So very difficult to come after this. But I promise I'm not going to speak in French. So I'm Jacques Bonifay, I'm the CEO of Transatel. Transatel is a player which is very active in Europe in the MVNO business, and recently, since a couple of years, we have developed and deployed a worldwide cellular connectivity solution for the Internet of Things. We work in several market segments such as laptop, tablet, automotive, race-type IoT and industrial IoT.
And my name is Benoît Jouffret. I'm from Gemalto. I'm the VP Connectivity and Embedded Solutions. Can you hear me? Yeah. I'm taking care notably of the EUICC and encryption application.
Okay. All right. So you can see we've got several players here from the SIM market and beyond and related. So definitely these guys know their stuff. I'm going to ask a few questions. These guys will give their expert answers. If you have any questions from the audience, there are people with mics, and you have an opportunity at the end of this session to ask questions. So please get ready for that. I'm going to frame this by starting to say that the total number of eSIM devices sold globally last year was around about 5 million units based on our estimates across all types of devices, tablets, wearables, phones, etc. We forecast that to go to about 300 million by 2022, so the market is growing very quickly and impacts a lot of operators, device makers and beyond. So first question then, let me field this to Benoît, if I may. A lot of people, there seems to be quite a bit of confusion in the industry about what precisely an eSIM and a soft SIM is. So let me ask this, what is eSIM, what is soft SIM, how do you guys define it?
Okay. First, I would distinguish between the form factor, the feature. In the history of the UICC, history of the SIM card, we traditionally started by what we call the pluggable form factor, meaning the 2FF, so the one we were used to have in our phones. In April 2010, the ETSI standardized the MFF2, so the machine-to-machine form factor, which is a solderable version. And when we look at the future, GSMA is now working at other possibilities on form factor, like what we call the IUICC. which could result in the fact that when we speak about 2FF form factors or the MFF, you are coming with a dedicated hardware. And when we work with the IUICC, we are with a system on chip, meaning that we still have hardware security, but this resides in a secure zone on the chip itself. But we are still dealing with hardware, okay, with a secure, tamper-resistant, certifiable hardware. When we speak about soft SIM, it's not about that. I mean, soft SIM is a pure SIM feature. You are not relying on any hardware. And this is why, I mean, from our perspective, this needs to be treated cautiously.
Any guys on the panel disagree with that definition?
No, I think it's a proper definition. We also share this view. I think we all need to understand, and I don't know, I just received this morning at PTIA, I don't know if you got that also, hacking, massive hacking that's happening right now in the world, and I'm asking the questions, given that we're talking about different level of security between hardware-based and non-hardware-based, discussing about potential implementation of soft SIM. Is it the right moment to propose solutions that are bringing basically lower level of security to the world now that we see every week new massive attacks on PCs and tomorrow's on mobile phones? I think we have technology that are working today based on hardware security, and as Benoit just said, we have dedicated hardware or the IUICC, so basically a software running on an application processor that has some hardware security. With those solutions, I think we're able to protect and maintain the right level of security for the cellular networks. And I think I'm asking the question to the audience as well. Is it the right moment to consider lower level of security solutions given the massive threats that we see every day?
No, it's not. But what has to happen is the software developer community here needs to come up to speed with the important fact that when you develop and design software applications, you need to add in the security feature. It's very, very important. Don't develop an application in the open operating system and expect it to be secure. It's not going to be secure. That's why you need a tamper-resistant hardware security. I think we're asking the wrong question. We should be asking the software developers in the crowd to care more about developing their applications with tamper-resistant hardware security on these mobile devices. I think that's the real question.
I would suggest that virtual SIM is still a thing that's to come. At the moment, it still is. If we can suggest the security attacks of recent times do suggest that it's probably not the immediate time to move to it, but there are solutions that enable the virtual SIM to maybe potentially become a reality, and we do see implementations worldwide at the moment. Ultimately, I think the TEE, the Trusted Execution Environment, where the virtualized SIM would live, is probably not secure enough to keep a lot of the service providers or even the MNOs who, let's face it, their secure credentials need to be stored happy. But there are some options for embedded for virtualized SIM, such as the embedded secure element, which would offer a better degree of security. But that, again, for me, is a bit further down the road, and also we see in the, but it's still potential. I wouldn't rule out virtual SIM, just maybe.
And outside the country. The TEE is what I call the Mendoza line. Anybody here know about baseball and softball? We have a Mendoza line, okay? If you hit 200, you stay in the majors. You go this way, less than 200 means you're going back to the minors, you may never reach the majors again. And that is the same thing about security. There's a certain level of security. The TEE, which by the way I promoted in China, right? The TEE is somewhere in the middle of the Mendoza line. Yeah, it could have a certain level of security, not the best, but it does have a certain level of security, but perhaps for most operators, not enough. Not enough. That's why we go with the UICC, the ESE, because they are the highest level of tamper-resistant security on the planet.
Maybe we can also see why people are using soft SIM.
Currently, I'm sitting here with a Huawei Watch 2, and I'm also sitting here with a Movi TicWatch 2. These are the two top smartwatches in China. Why? They both have an embedded SIM, and they have to have an embedded SIM because there's very little architecture on the wrist. But what's happened because of the eSIM is it's created a new ecosystem of wearable payments on the wrist, and this cannibalizes the smartphone market too. So actually, the eSIM has to be used. You can use a removable SIM, but you waste so much architecture. It is about architecture in hardware that the eSIM needs to replace and free up more money, lowering BOM cost, and increasing actually the ability to provide efficiency with the design architecture. eSIM is essential.
And I think it's a good illustration that soft SIM and eSIM are two total.
Two watches are compliant from Unicom, China Unicom, with the RSP, the Remote SIM Provisioning Program. When you leave China with these watches on your wrist, you can switch operator profiles. Now, bear in mind, we both know that there aren't many operators around the world that are supporting it yet, but but they will, and it's retroactive. So the watches need to have the RSP enabled in the device. They need to be ready, compliant with the provision, because it's all over the air, in the field, upgradable. So that's really the key point, that they can use the RSP when they're going outside the country. Global roaming as we know it, it's going away with this technology.
So I think relating to also the first presentation we saw, it's about, I think
It also, they care about is lifestyle applications. That's what they care about. That's why I wanted to say that in China, and only China right now, we have something very cool going on here, which is wearables and eventually smartphones. You can go into the subway systems in China, Shenzhen, Shanghai, Guangzhou, and Beijing, and you can do a mobile payment from the wrist. Now listen, that does not exist anywhere else in the world, to my knowledge. This is very, very cool. So we need to talk about those things rather than just technology, because the end user wants the KISS principle. They just want the thing to work. They want a cool experience, but they want a lifestyle experience. And that's why the watches are cool, because they're payment devices, but we use them all the time. These are going to cannibalize the smartphone. I said it before, I'll say it again. These will cannibalize the smartphone. And so lots of people, yeah, it sounds great, all this stuff we're talking about, RSP, this and that. I want to switch the profile when I go outside the country. Bingo. That's all I have to tell them, number one. Number two, I can do payments in the subway. I can do payments at Starbucks. I can do payments in the airport. Bingo. These are really neat. You need to get, when you're selling this technology, don't forget that what you're selling is a lifestyle user experience. And that's the level that we have to get when we're explaining this stuff. Otherwise, it's too highfalutin in the air, and you can't explain it enough to the average consumer. Sorry.
Let me have a comment on that.
Bigger OEMs, let's say Amazon, they have an Alexa product, an Echo product. There's no 4G connectivity. They think Wi-Fi is enough. That's wrong. It needs an embedded SIM, and I believe that we're going to see embedded SIM going into areas that we normally might not have expected. And I also believe that the consumer electronics side of this technology with eSIM needs a bigger pipe. The industrial side, no, not so much. But the connected car side, yeah, it needs a big pipe. But I suspect that the industrial side of the eSIM world will realize that they think, well, I just need a little bit of raw data, and I need a very low power battery, and I don't need much data. I think they're wrong. I think you're going to find that they're going to hog the data more than they originally thought. I think they're going to come to the conclusion that they need a bigger pipe than they originally anticipated on the industrial side. That's what I think. This MFF1 form factor, you can actually load the eSIM OS now into the device, and via a plug-in, it's a SIM card, you plug it into the device, it can comply with RSP if the OS itself, embedded into the M2M SIM card itself, is compliant with the RSP remote SIM provisioning. You can have a temporary solution that works for lots of people.
My perspective, we will get device next year. I will let Benoit also comment on that, but we're talking about mobile.